excuse you this time. Shall I wait on Betty?
Start whenever you are.
Oh, Betty's in the back. Hi,
Yes,
Betty.
go right ahead, Ms. Collins.
December the 2nd, Board of Cosmetology meeting is called to order, and we'll have roll call, starting with Ms. Huckabee.
June Huckabee, present.
Merle Smith, present.
Linda Colley, present.
Judy McAllister, present.
Rufus Hereford, present.
Earl Ali, present.
Okay. Would one representative from each school please stand and tell us where you're from, please? All right, keep coming.
Graduates here from Milwaukee, from Clarksville.
That's behind you? Great.
Sam Saul, Tennessee School of Beauty, Knoxville.
Chip Wood, Select.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Has everyone read the minutes for November the 4th meeting? If so, are there any comments or any corrections? If there are no corrections, do I hear a motion that we accept?
I so move.
Motion's made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we accept the November the 4th meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Okay, Paula Cook from Tennessee Institute of Cosmetology.
You have before you the application for a change in location, which has been received from Tennessee Institute of Cosmetology. The school is staying in Morristown, Tennessee. They are ready for immediate inspection. The floor plan totaling 6,700 square foot is provided, and the application and the fee have been received by the board office, along with the all the other paperwork needed. So Ms. Paula Cook is here in front of you in case you have any questions for her.
You are not having an esthetician department?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Where were you located?
About a half a mile down the road from
Okay.
where I'm just moving less than a mile
Okay,
away.
okay. Are there any questions for Ms. Cook?
If I could request that I could be opened on this coming Wednesday, if at all possible, if I could request a state board member and an inspector be able to come on Wednesday for the open.
Inspector will be able to go Wednesday. It's Morristown, so we'll have to talk about if any board member is available to go either Tuesday or Wednesday to do the inspection of the school.
Whose area is that?
Linda Bailey,
No, I mean which
Morristown.
board member?
Morristown. Any idea where it's located?
I'm about 40 miles east of Knoxville, so it may be whoever has the Knoxville, East Tennessee area.
I don't have any issues with the floor plan, but I'm sorry, I can't identify the front door. Where's the front door?
Okay, I had brought one there. Right here is the front door.
On your iPads, let me look at the number. Page 6 has the three-dimensional. The floor plan is right there. Right at the front bottom, the bigger door. That would be the front door.
Oh, where you enter a little area
Yeah.
and then take a left?
Yes.
Okay.
And where is it here on this one? Previous page, it's visible again to the far right.
Yeah, this is actually the front of the building.
That's the front of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, first of all, is there any discussion on the facility and the floor plan? If not, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to be approved.
Motion been made by Mr. Hoofer. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. McAllister, that we accept. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes carried. Thank you. And wait a minute, don't leave. Wednesday. Our board member is Ms. McAllister. She also works. So, do you have is a phone number where she can be in touch with you?
Let me give you I'll give you both numbers if you'd like. My cell phone is 423-327-1051. The school number is 42587-5520.
Okay, we need to get the board member, the inspector, to be in touch with her because it'll have to be late afternoon.
Rather go at the same time with Glenda? Judy?
Yes.
That sounds perfect. I'll let her know, and she'll call you.
So will
Okay.
you guys call me to let me, I can meet you there any time, even if it's, whatever time is
It
convenient.
will
for
be
you
in the
guys.
afternoon because she has another job in the day.
Okay, that would be great.
But she'll call you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you and good luck. Sherry Freeman, Chattanooga College. Oh, poor Sherry in her throat.
Oh, I apologize.
This is a new school application for Chattanooga College of Medical, Dental, and Technical Careers. It's to be located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The owner is Ms. Carolyn Denise Hill. A surety bond, floor plan, the 20 school applications, school hours, curriculum, and the licensure fee have been received by the office. The total square footage designated for the cosmetology school is 4,004 square feet. 2 instructors' resumes are also included in your documents.
Is that total square footage, please?
4,004, I believe, is that correct? Yeah.
Just for the cosmetology.
Just for the,
department.
yeah.
How many students do you have, and how would it be divided in medical, dental, et cetera, et cetera?
Right now, we just have the dental assisting program along with us, and then the cosmetology, which we have the 20 enrollments.
Of how many?
20 enrollments, but it's 20,000 square feet total. The
Oh,
dental
okay.
is not part of our 4,000. The 4,400 is just cosmetology.
We have 20 new students, applications. Is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
And they've been sent in?
Yes, they sure have.
What is travel distance on this floor plan?
They have travel distance from our other location. This is our second school, so we have 12 miles away. We have another Chattanooga College located at the East Town Center.
But on this floor plan, it says travel distance 140 feet.
Oh, it may be from the front door back to the hallway. Yeah, it's 20,000 square feet, so it's a large building.
Okay, on the floor plan where it says travel distance, what are those little squigglies?
May I look at it? I apologize. Oh, that's where they will be eventually breaking it up to bring in the medical assisting program. They'll be putting in dividers for classrooms.
So they're going to put a medical part into this cosmetology part?
No, no. The cosmetology's all in the lined out areas. The others are separated into their own areas and enclosed in their own areas.
So the cosmetology.
This is one large college.
So the cosmetology area has a separate entrance.
No, it has the front entrance and it has also a back entrance.
On page 10 might be a little bit clearer than the first one, is what Ms. Freeman is telling me, that the front entrance is actually to the far right. Is that correct? Back here?
Right near the office?
Yes, exactly. It's a huge entrance. It's
And then
large.
you walk through that little turn.
The courier and go back to the salon, yes. The reception area will be at that front desk, though, as you walk in the door. There's actually an entrance there and there and there. I forgot about that.
On this floor plan, it says need plumbing, need electricity. I'm assuming it's already,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's already done. If you look to the back of the plan, there's another entranceway there that I forgot to tell you that it goes right back into the stations. So it actually has 3 entries and exits into the school.
Large is the actual space for the cosmetology?
4,400 square feet.
44. Of cosmetology at the other school,
Yes, ma'am.
and where is it located?
At Eastgate Town Center.
Okay.
Carolyn Hill runs it. Chattanooga College, medical, dental, and technical careers. This is just the Hickson location.
very bottom on the left, according to the plan, there are little heads. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that stalls in the restroom? What is that?
The very left, those are showers for the SD program.
The what?
They're showers. We have the esthetician program.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
So, all right, where it says ladies, go, is that the restroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 esthetician rooms, is that correct?
Oh, no, that's just the showers. The esthetician room's that large space above it. There's another large space in there that's the actual where the beds are, and then they have the shower stalls. It's a large area of sinks and shower stalls, and it also has a sauna and steam room, and then, of course, the classroom for the esthetician program. It's all that back half of the whole.
Okay, so the left side is esthetician.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm still confused on what those 4 rooms are that have these little lines in them.
Are you talking about the little curved, where the curved walkway is?
No, I'm on the far left.
On the far left?
Yes, ma'am, right above where it says ladies.
Yes. That is a storage room and 2 showers.
Okay, thank you.
Like you mean to keep them clean anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, excuse me.
So your lecture room for the esthetician department is at the bottom left where it says lecture.
No, actually, it's up towards the top left where it says classroom.
Okay, what is,
The lecture room would be for our cosmetology.
okay, and then the classroom?
Is for the practical work and also a lecture room.
I get you to put your mic near you, Miss. Thank you.
I'm
Miss-
sorry, thank you. Is she supposed to have a separate entrance for the cosmetology area?
There actually is, if you look at the top to the middle, you'll see it there at the stations. There's an entrance in there. My apologies, I forget about that one because it actually goes out into a rose garden where they can enter in.
Is that where it says salon stations?
Salon stations, and right there it opens up, that's an entrance door also.
So the patrons won't be accessing this from the far end? Where
They can access it from that or from the front, either one.
If they access it from the far right, from the front, how do they know to go to the cosmetology area?
Our reception desk is right up front. That takes all the appointments, and we'll be greeting them and walking them back. It's right as you walk in the front door. It says it's a large reception area, just for and the actual nail area is to the right so that patrons can see it. I'm sorry, to the left. I'm on drugs. I'm sorry. But it's to the left.
Okay,
You have your manicure and pedicure on one end of the building, and then you have the rest of the cosmetology on the other end?
Yeah, and we did that so that the public could see it from the inside too. But that won't be without an educator in it, so.
Where will your students be parking?
Out the front, there's a huge parking area. It's in the mall area,
So the students will be coming through in front
the
of the
front entrance, yes.
secretary and going on back through the
Yes.
building?
And they'll be clocking in at that front reception desk as they walk in the door.
There's also an entrance where it says exit, is that correct?
An entrance where it says exit.
At the top to the left, it says exit, exit. Is that an entrance as well?
Yes, sir.
Is that the rose garden that you were speaking of?
Yes, sir.
There's no parking area in there, right?
There is, but it's a small parking area. It's larger out front. There's really parking all the way around the building.
so I have a question on the manicure situation.
ma'am.
Will they be in a classroom on the left side, and then when they're on the floor, more or less, be in the room right at the front near the receptionist?
In the front. That room is so large that we could do both theory and the practical in it together, so that they always have their educator in there. But we also have enough classrooms towards the back that we could use if it was necessary to pull them out if we got so crowded that we couldn't do it in there.
Thank you.
Didn't have room for your manicure area to be in with the other cosmetology.
Well, it wasn't that we didn't have room. They just wanted the public to be able to see the cosmetology going on as they came in to get some walk-ins for those students to practice with. And we figured it'd be a good visual at the front of the building versus everything being in the back.
There is nothing in the rules or the law that says that it has to all be together, is there? Mr. Herndon? No?
No.
Okay. Any more questions? Any comment? Does anyone want, have a motion to accept or deny?
I think that with the manicure, pedicure area on the opposite end of the building, I think that is an awkward setup. I think that is not practical, and I think that once they're operational, they may find that out. But if there's nothing in the rules that say that they can't do this, then I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made by Ms. Ali that we approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McAllister. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Very weak ayes. You guys got to speak up tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll turn the meeting over.
Thank you, thank you. We'll start with our applications for examination. Let me get to my right page. Applications for examination are in front of you for Stephen Boltman, Lakrita Elgin, Courtney Ellis, Latasha Johnson, Jason Kimbrough, and Heidi King, who have felonies. They have submitted their applications for your approval. The required information, disclosure from the student, and a letter of recommendation is submitted.
It's one of these that is extremely long.
Last one, yes.
Also, some of this is Greek to us. Have you analyzed it, and can you come up with any solution on what all this is about?
Hey, do you have a question after looking at the,
It says the probation will be finished December the 6th. The good part is the last time there was a problem was in 2010.
Holly, can I get you to bend your mic closer to? Thank you. No, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, yes, you're.
I see, according to what I'm seeing, tell me if I'm correct, the last time there was a case was in 2010. So this is 13. The probation, I'm thinking out loud is what I'm doing. I'm trying to think this out. And then the probation is up December the 6th next week, this week.
right?
Nice letter from the school. Not trying to talk for the board, I'm just trying to get us into this, but if we approved taking an exam, could we flag that particular file for any other problems that might develop? Is that possible?
We've done that one other time, so yes, if that's what you'd like to do, we can put a notation in our system that would flag any type of complaint to be held quicker or come in front of you.
Suppose your grounds for not approving it would be 62-4127 B3.
Read it, please.
Addiction to intoxicating liquors or drugs, if you think you see a pattern there. On the other hand,
I see a big pattern. But the only good part of the pattern is it stopped in 2010.
I agree, and there's nothing particularly dishonest about the record, it's just bad choices. If there was theft or burglary or
There was one on forgery, just one that I saw. Is there any discussion with the board? Now, I will say, the letter from the school sounds very good, and that this person has not had any more cases since 2010. Comments? Any thoughts?
If you put all of his defense attorneys together, they could have a real reunion, couldn't they?
All right, we have 6 applications in front of us. Do you want to approve all at one time if we approve, or should we do this individually? And I'm going to call it by numbers, not by names. Do you want to do that? I think that's the only way we're going to move on. Let's go back to the very first application.
I can go ahead and call out the names if you like, just so we're all sure, and then everyone can vote. The first one on the list was Stephen Bultman. Do we have a motion to approve him testing once the agreed order is sent out and received back from him?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve and allow him to test.
Motion been made by Ms. Ali that with an agreed order that he be allowed to test. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by, well, I had 2 seconds. Mr. Herford this time. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Second one is Ms. Lakrita Elgin.
Move that we accept.
Motion's been made by Ms. Huckabee that we accept with an agreed order. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes carry.
Number 3 is Ms. Courtney Ellis.
I move that we accept.
Motion's been made by Ms. Ali that we accept with an agreed order. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McAllister. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Fourth one is Ms. Latasha Johnson.
Make the motion to accept and let them test.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister that we accept and allow them to test with agreed order. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Seconded by Ms. Ali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried. Very good.
Fifth is Mr. Jason Kimbrell.
He also done the barber with in cosmetology also. With the
If he has both licenses, he would have gone in front of the barber. Yes, and he may be going at the December meeting for the barbers. That's on the 16th. Because his name doesn't ring a bell right now.
Make the motion we accept.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister that we accept with agreed order. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Ms. Huckabee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Last application for examination is from Ms. Heidi King. And if you're more comfortable, if you all do decide to accept the application, we can flag the account. That's just, or the license file.
She's gone to school and she's trying, and I really appraise her for that. I'd like to give her a chance to take a test. I'm just giving my opinion, as long as it's flagged. That's my opinion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve her to sit for the exam and then flag her file.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we allow her to sit for the exam and flag her license file. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next on your iPads, we are on page 60. This is a request from Ms. Delisha Lachey Morris Douglas. She is requesting to sit for the cosmetology instructor exam without taking the required 300 hours. Ms. Morris has a Master's of Arts in Teaching and is a licensed cosmetologist. She has provided a copy of her degree from the University of Memphis for your review and an email request explaining her 5 years' experience as a K through 12 teacher. She hopes to qualify to sit for the exam.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that she take the 300-hour requirement that she has and come back to the board for subsequent to this date.
Second that motion.
Motion's been made by Mr. Herford, seconded by Ms. Smith, that she obtain the instructor hours required by the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Next is a request from Ms. Laura Correa. She is requesting to waive the 7-year law, which requires a student to complete the required courses and the number of hours within the 7-year period. Ms. Correa originally enrolled in 2003 and did not complete her hours until June of 2013. A letter explaining her situation is provided. The school allowed her to pay the $800 she owed and continue in school even though the 7 years had lapsed. She is under the impression that she has already obtained a license when in fact we haven't given her the license. She has taken the PSI exams and passed them. But again, the school allowed her to complete all her hours. She therefore went in and tested. She now needs the board's permission in order for those hours and the exams that she took to count so we can license her.
Read this letter.
Yeah.
Person already has a license?
She's under the impression that she does because she passed the exam. She does not. We've not licensed her. She's finished all the hours, but in a 10-year period. And then the school submitted her information for testing. So the whole schools issue is a separate issue. What she's wanting now to know is if her hours can count, and then in which case, because she's tested, she would be able to get her license.
She has passed both exams.
She has.
Now, what is this about Master Barber? Page 66.
I'm not sure why it's listed as Barber. Her hours are in cosmetology. I just wonder if they might have been posted in the wrong category.
It's 1,500 hours, but it's reading Master Barber.
Right. And that's our system. I will look and make sure that they're posted as cosmetologist, because it's the category at the top on that screen. If you look at the upper right-hand corner, 1601 is the licensee in cosmetology. I just think the hours are loaded under that wrong code instead of cosmetology.
I also have a question.
Yes.
Maybe I overlooked it. When did she start back to school this last time?
Not long ago at all. I don't think you did overlook it. It's not, the dates aren't always broken down. She finished in June. From having a conversation with the school, because I called them directly, I believe she was only missing 3 or 4 months of schooling, and I think her letter might touch on that, so they allowed her in to just finish. She only had less than 100 hours left to go.
You're kidding.
Mm-mm. But by that time, she was way past the 7 years, so had we known and she requested at that time, we could have dealt with it then.
So she required approximately how many hours from the time after her 7 years was up?
I couldn't tell you. I just know that the last piece where she owed the $800 she's talking about, when she was allowed back in at that point, she wasn't missing a lot of hours. She was done with the vast majority of the 1,500.
And there's no date on the letter, and we don't know when she started back. I personally want more information.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of you.
Is there a breakdown that the reason that she already sit for the exam?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
I said, was there a breakdown somewhere that she has already sit for the exam?
The breakdown of hours, I think she did all the hours at the same school. I don't have the breakdown, but the school would be able to send it to us. They hadn't, released her hours because she owed the money. So the release with the final hours came once she finished in June. But we can get that breakdown and ask that you provide more information.
And I think also, Ms. Huckabee, I think what you're also asking is, was she allowed to take the test?
Breakdown in the process.
Yeah, breakdown the process, not a breakdown of the hours, but how was she allowed to take both exams if this slipped through, or how did this slip through?
The school submitted to PSI the fact that she'd finished and that they released her hours, and
So the school is the one that it broke down.
and we will be dealing with that as a separate issue, obviously.
Do I hear a
I mean, it's
motion that
already
we get more information?
I wanted to add something, if I may. She mentioned about opening a salon. Has she submitted an application to open?
No. I think she talks about what she's wanting to do, correct?
She says she's already signed a contract.
Yeah, but she's not submitted because without her license, we can't process anything for her.
Also, we've dealt with this before, and I know one young lady came before us and approved the hours, but is it possible for the schools to be sanctioned when they do something like this?
That case is already open.
We're acting on.
We'll
Okay.
hear it eventually, and
Okay.
yeah. So.
Claim that was in the impression that she was going to get her license and did.
And even took the test.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like she can do it if she has passed.
So I can modify this to request more information as far as the number of hours she would have had when she stopped, and she might have stopped more than once. Again, because she owed money, we weren't given the release of hours. But give us a detail of the hours and the timeline to see how close to the 7 years she was, and then present it in February for the board to review any more information we can get.
Also, we want to make sure that since she has passed the exams, that she doesn't get in trouble by not attempting to purchase her license in the time
Right.
period.
And that would be the 6-month rule, which is the reason that we encouraged her to write the letter and make a decision of her request, which obviously, having passed the test, she wants her license. She thought she had it. So we'll keep an eye on the 6-month rule as well.
And you're still investigating, correct?
Well, the case is open for the
That's
school.
okay.
So it'll come in front of the board for a vote
Okay.
in February.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have a motion that we send her a letter requesting additional information, including a timeline, and then on my documentation for the February meeting, I will present as much as we can from the school that explains how far she got before the 7 years expired?
I so moved.
Motion made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Moving on to the field trip requests on page 68, I will read through them all, and then if we have any questions, we can vote separately or at the end as one. The first field trip request is from the tech class of Empire Beauty School in Colonial on November the 8th from 10 to 2 to visit a natural hair beauty salon at 2847 Poplar Avenue. The educational facilitator is Mrs. Barry Brooks, and Jean Smith Moody is the educator that will accompany the field trip. Field trip request also from Empire Beauty School for the student salon class of Colonial on December the 2nd from 1:30 to 3:30 to visit the surrounding businesses on Poplar Colonial area. The educator facilitator is Carol Sager, and this is a marketing-based field trip. Field trip request also from Empire Beauty School for the student salon class of Empire Colonial on December the 3rd from 10:30 to 3:30 to visit the surrounding businesses on Poplar and Colonial area. The educator there will be Brittany Briggs, and this is a marketing-based field trip. Field trip request from Fayetteville College of Cosmetology, Arts and Science on December the 13th for the student body and instructors to go to Fayetteville Rehabilitation Center. That's at 4140 Thornton in Fayetteville to perform manicuring and styling services to the disabled residents. Field trip request from Georgia Career Institute for the ACE and aesthetics classes at Murfreesboro campus to visit salons, spas, doctor's offices, beauty supply, and makeup stores in the Murfreesboro-Nashville area in November and in December. Field trip request from New Concepts School of Cosmetology for the aesthetics class to attend the Christmas Contour Gift Gala on November the 14th at the Center for Facial Rejuvenation Medical Center, and that is in Chattanooga. Field trip request from Tennessee Career Institute on December the 11th to go to Nashville supply stores such as Walmart Supercenter, Golden Nail Supply, at Nail Supply, Hobby Lobby, and Michael's Craft Store. This is for the nail students so they can get items for their class. Field trip request from Volunteer Beauty for permission to take 5 to 6 students who are very career oriented and have them take advantage of the workforce by visiting 4 salons and a day spa where it is possible that they may be able to obtain employment at an upscale environment. This field trip is scheduled for December the 5th. Those are all the requests for this month.
I have a question, please. On 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one down, for the ACE.
Yes.
It doesn't say how many hours, what days. What are you reading in that?
And that's exactly, they are just requesting to go in the months of November and December. They did not submit more detail. We can definitely ask them to and not approve it and go from there. That's exactly what they sent us. It's kind of open-ended.
Almost too open-ended.
And let me ask you, since we're talking about this, because I'm open to making any changes that will help these processes. We could develop a form for the field trip to have the schools kind of follow. Obviously, when they miss the deadline, a lot of times it's because they just missed and an opportunity came by, but it would include the time, the date, what the trip is about, the facility, just an exact location for the spot. Because sometimes when we ask for additional information, we just don't get it in time for the meeting, and so we present it anyway. But kind of force them to follow that layout if you're okay with it.
I think it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Could it also include something about the process of getting the trips approved with respect to how many come before us and past the date of the trip?
And it, in the rules, we do state, I think it's 60 days in advance is when we want them, and we never get them that far in advance. So I understand that's a big span of time ahead, but it'd be nice to get them more timely. So I will work on a form and then in February present it.
Another problem
Yes.
that happens, let's say that, like, we're attempting to approve one for November the 14th. Well, those hours have already been sent in, and the hours haven't been approved. So they really need to know they have to do it ahead of time.
And they know it because when we get the email, we will say this is, this may not get approved. It's way past the timeline.
But I'm sure the hours were already sent in.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, they'd have to correct them if it's not approved. That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the others?
Also, I have a problem with okaying a trip to Walmart and Hobby Lobby and Michael's. That does not sound like education.
And at the last meeting, I believe we voted down that exact
Okay.
type of request. So if you have any other questions, we can talk about them, but if not, we can exclude and that one in particular deny if everyone agrees with that.
I hear a motion, we deny the one on June. Ms. Huckabee, you'll make your motion.
Now, the seventh one down,
Okay,
permission for that field trip.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, motion made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we deny the field trip to supplies, nail supply, Hobby Lobby. We know which one, number 7. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried. And then we're going to get more detailed information on the 5th one down. Is that correct? Do I hear a motion on that?
Make the motion, we get more information on the 5th one down.
Going to sit and see if anybody's going to second. Did I
I
have to ask?
second.
Motion's been made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Ali, that we get more information on the 5th one down. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Make the motion that we approve the rest.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister that we approve the rest. Seconded by Ms. Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Okay, we are starting our reciprocity applications on page 70. Ms. Stephanie Arniotis is actually here. Ms. Arniotis, if you'll come up, in case you have any questions, she wanted to be here. Give me just a minute, let me find where. Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Colorado and New York for Ms. Stephanie J. Arniotis. Certification from Colorado is expired, but shows initial date of licensure by examination in 1999 with 1,450 hours received. So she's 50 hours short from our required hours. Certification from New York is active and shows qualifications by experience with initial licensure, which would be similar to our reciprocity. Provided are 3 separate letters of recommendation from clients who have used Ms. Arniotis for the past 9 years. Also provided is a letter explaining that she has worked as a freelance stylist. So those are available for your review. My recommendation is that the applicant be given reciprocity.
Some nice letters.
Thanks.
Best stylist in New York. Gee.
I had amazing clients. They're mad at me for leaving.
Okay, so you were licensed in Colorado, licensed in New York, you've worked in New York, and been licensed since 1999.
Yep.
Where in New York did you work?
In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
And around the city, like freelancing, such different jobs.
Questions, discussion?
Make the motion, we approve.
A second.
Motion's been made by Ms. McAllister and seconded by Ms. Alley that we approve the reciprocity. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry. Congratulations. Welcome to Tennessee.
Next is an application for reciprocity of a cosmetology license from Florida for Tanya Fuller. Ms. Fuller was presented to the board at the November meeting, and the decision was that she take the examination. Certification shows an initial date of licensure as August 2012. A transcript confirms 1,200 hours. Additionally, she has submitted documentation from Austin Beauty College releasing 300 hours that she completed in October of 2013. We did not have that at the last meeting. This brings her total number of hours to the 1,500 as required in Tennessee. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocity.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion made by Ms. Smith that we approve reciprocity. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Huckabee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Pennsylvania for Megan Hoxema. Certification shows an initial licensure in August 2012 by examination with 1,250 hours. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we concur with their recommendation.
Motion made by Mr. Hurd that we ask her to sit for the exam as the recommendation was. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry.
Application for reciprocity of a cosmetologist license from New York for Jania M. Matthews. Certification shows initial licensure of October 2012 with 1,000 hours received. Provided is a letter from Ms. Matthews explaining that she left the industry but is back and taking additional classes. The recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion, she take the Tennessee exam.
A second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Ali, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry.
Application for reciprocity of a cosmetologist license for Maria Mena Echeverria. A translated, detailed school transcript is provided showing 1,800 hours completed in 2005. The recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination. Her hours are from El Salvador. I don't think you can see them there, so.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that she take the Tennessee exam.
Motion made by Ms. Smith that she sit for the Tennessee exam. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. McAllister. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this just went a little too fast for me. So, does the applicant speak or read English?
I don't know if she does enough to pass the exam. All her hours and my conversations with her have been in Spanish. She understands that it's not offered in English here, that she would have to, that most likely that's going to be the recommendation, and she would have to either wait and take some additional language or test somewhere else.
Last month, we had someone that tested in another state, and then we accepted the reciprocity.
She may have to decide that if she doesn't have enough control of the language, but she'll have to look at that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next is the application for reciprocity of a manicurist license for Phuong Tran. A transcript of school hours from California shows 600 hours completed in July of 2013. No certification from California was provided, and the online verification is inconclusive because the name is fairly common. Certification from Minnesota shows license was revoked. 2 letters from employers in California are provided, and a personal letter from Mr. Tran are included for your review. My recommendation is to deny reciprocity until formal enforcement from Minnesota is proven or we receive other documentation.
Or information. Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we deny until we have more information.
Second.
Motion is made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we deny until we get further information. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Last on the reciprocity is manicurist license from Ohio for Cham Ying. Certification states that applicant was licensed since 1998 by examination with 200 school hours. Letter from employers states Ms. Ying has been employed at the same location since March 2000. The recommendation is that we approve reciprocal license.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we approve her for reciprocity.
Motion is made by Ms. Smith that we approve for reciprocity. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Seconded by Ms. Ali. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Before we move on to the legal, I want to give you a quick heads up. We're in the middle of investigating some possible license things going on again with Texas. So they were not able to go through the investigation and confirm, but at the February meeting, I'll fill you in on the investigation and the names, and we may be bringing the Texas in front of you for approval once more.
Mr. Herndon, I know that Ms. Huck. Yes.
I know it's probably too late, but I still have a problem where the school charges the individual $800 and the lady is going to have to wait till February for hours for less than 100. Something about that bothers me. I think the school is at fault. Just want to make that comment.
But I was going to ask you, I do not know how long your legal report is, and I know Ms. Huckabee has to leave by noon, but could we take a 10 to 15-minute break?
Fine.
All right. And then we're going to get your mouth rolling.
How many do we have, Rob?
About 35 of them. A lot of them are very brief, but there's one that's thorny that we're going to have to talk about toward the end.
When it's thorny?
We're used to thorny.
Brought to our attention that there's a field trip request, that if you're okay with them presenting and explaining what they would like to do, because they're going in a couple of weeks, and if we miss it now, it would have to wait until February. Is that okay?
Okay with everyone? Yes.
Sure.
Please come up.
My name's Michelle. I'm the director of the Paul Mitchell School of Murfreesboro, and we are requesting to take a group of future professionals on a field trip December the 16th to Westmoreland, Tennessee. It's an assisted living facility, Signature Healthcare, where we'll be painting fingernails and curling their hair and just making magic for the elderly.
It's December 16th.
Yes, ma'am.
My birthday.
Woo,
Madam
happy
Chairman?
early
Yes.
birthday.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Huckabee and seconded by Mr. Herford that we approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Have a good time.
Thank you.
I want to bring up something before the legal report, if you don't mind. One thing being, which would help the situation that just happened about the hours, and the girl had already taken the test. It's brought to my attention that it's wonderful for PSI to take these applications. It moves much smoother for them to get the application for the people to test. But on that application, it does not have a starting date or an ending date.
The application that they submit online says I, as in the school administrator, instructor, whoever is vouching for these hours, state that the individual completed within the 7 years that the law states. So it does force them to check the box electronically instead of in paper. So they'll be doing that. And in the paper one, it does have a start and end date. It said 2003 to 2013. So those start and end dates have been there in paper and will be a checkbox electronically for them
So
to do.
they either on paper it went wrong, or they checked that box. The school did.
That is correct. That's correct. And before we get on, and I forget, if everyone can lower their mics and make sure that we do talk into them, that way I won't miss it, or that we can hear you. Yes, so that is correct. It'll be there in both the paper world and the electronic submission.
And there's been some more thinking about this particular situation that we covered earlier about the girl that had been longer than 7 years. But she was told that she could pay her $800 and then go back to school and finish her hours.
That is correct.
I don't think we all feel comfortable with that. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'm glad that we're back on this, and I don't know what discussion you capacity to overrule the 7-year rule. That I'd like to make a motion that she be approved.
A second.
Is there any more discussion? Motion's been made by Ms. Ali and seconded by Mr. Herford, excuse me, that we approve that, her license. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Ayes carry.
We will go ahead and send her the letter with the application information, let her know that the 7-year rule was voted on and that you agreed to let her.
And you're doing
Get
more
licensed.
follow-up on the school
Yes, that's a
itself?
separate, that is correct.
Okay. Now, I think I'll have a better Christmas now.
Wonderful.
Well, the fact that we know that she's capable, and probably it wasn't her fault, makes a big difference in the way I feel about it.
It definitely was not her fault. She was told, and that's not right. Okay. Any other business before we turn it over to our attorney? It's yours, Mr. Herndon.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, the legal report's fairly garden variety this time, except for one, and that's on page 125 of your pads. The very last one, number 28, and if it's okay with y'all, I'd like to do that one first.
120 what? 128?
125 of your pad, number 28. It's the last case. What's on the pad is not really what the end result was. I passed something out. I don't know if you have it, Ms. Colley.
Pardon me, what was that page number again?
On your pad, it's 125, and then it's item number 28.
Okay.
All y'all have this? Okay. What it really looks like now.
I don't have one.
As brief as it looks on paper, there's still quite a bit more to it. I'm just going to read it into the record right now. This is case number 2013-023621. The board's been made aware that the respondent, a licensed cosmetologist, has been charged with sexual assault in the course of providing cosmetology services that, if found to be true, would constitute unprofessional, immoral, or dishonorable conduct in violation of our statute. Now, the authorization in front of you is authorize a summary suspension based on the criminal charges, followed by an informal conference within 7 days. So hold on to that thought. There's a couple of other options. And then we'll answer some questions about what a summary suspension is and all that. Option number 1 is to allow the complaint to proceed as we usually do, and we've already sent that out to the respondent as we always do, and it will come back and we'll present it to you normally. That's option 1. Option 2 is to try to negotiate a voluntary deactivation of his privileges pending the outcome of the criminal procedure. Get him to agree to just deactivate his license until we get to the end of the criminal procedures. And option 3 is a summary suspension. So it goes from kind of you take no action to you let us in legal try to negotiate with him to put his privileges on hold to we take immediate action. And I've brought Mark Green here, who's our litigation chief, to answer questions about what a summary suspension is. Because I know you haven't done one since I've been here, and I don't know if you've ever done one before, but they're pretty particular legal procedures. The reason we're asking this guy was arrested for sexual assault, for improperly touching some female clients. We know of one statement that we have, which gives us probable cause. There may be 2 others that we know of. We know that this person has bonded out, so he's no longer in custody, so he's out in the world with an active license, which we feel in legal presents an imperative danger, something that we have to do something about. Which brings us to the summary suspension. And if you would like that explained to you, I'll let Mark explain what that is, keeping in mind the 3 options that we have.
Please.
Good morning. Rob kind of summed up our recommendation, and let me just preface that by saying that when any licensee is accused, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're guilty. I mean, obviously, you can be accused and be innocent. So we don't take action lightly when we recommend something like a summary suspension, which is a drastic measure and only put in the code to when the commission or the board feels that there could be immediate irreparable harm to the public. And the fact that we do have statements from law enforcement regarding this licensee and the alleged conduct, we think that after consultation with the executive director and the assistant commissioner's office, we think those statements in and of themselves warrant action by the commission, and that's why we're here with that recommendation. It could end up the charges are dismissed, the charges are he's found not guilty or whatever. I mean, we don't know. That legal process has to play out, and we're not involved in the criminal matters. However, I do know that the fact that he's been alleged to have done this, and the fact that he has been alleged to have done it while providing services for which he's licensed, gives a great deal of concern, and so that's kind of what has led us here today. A summary suspension is basically just that. It is the commission or board making, based on what we know, we feel there is a substantial likelihood of immediate threat to the public. And because of that, we're going to summarily suspend your license. That means you take a vote today to suspend the man's license. And it is suspended as of when the board takes its vote. Part of that, however, and it has to do with due process, giving him an opportunity to respond to such, is you have to have an informal conference, not a formal hearing, not a full, court or administrative procedures hearing, but you have to provide him an informal conference within 7 business days to allow him to come in and present evidence and proof as to why he's not a substantial threat or immediate threat to the public. So you have to give him the opportunity to come in. And how we've done them in the past is a commission or board has taken the action, and then we've had an informal conference telephonically within 7 business days. So that, if you vote to do that within 7 business days, we'll have to ask Roxana to arrange for a quorum of the commission or the board to call in or to come in, whichever one is convenient, so that we give him an opportunity to come in and explain to the board why his license shouldn't be suspended going forward. He may be here, he may not. We don't know. I mean, he'll get notice of the summary suspension as soon if the board votes on it. I would imagine by tomorrow or Wednesday. So may come in and present evidence that makes you feel comfortable that he can continue being licensed pending the criminal outcome. That's what the opportunity is for. It's for him to come in and have a chance to be heard after the board takes the action. Because as you all know, you have to have a drastic circumstance in order to take somebody's license away from them. Normally, just being accused of a crime is not enough just to take your license away. In this situation, we have the accusation of a crime, the potential of more charges, and the addition that it was committed while providing cosmetology services. We have been in contact with law enforcement that's investigating this. We have the witness statements; those will be presented, obviously, at a hearing. They will be given to him if the licensee if he does appear, and allowed to respond to it. So that's kind of the process. It is a drastic process, but one that after several hours of discussion with management, with the administration, with legal, and that's what we came to, that we would come to you today and recommend. So we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the procedure and what we do now. And should you vote to do that, we are prepared with an order so that it can be done fairly quickly and we can get notice to this licensee that this has happened.
I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe in you're innocent until proven guilty, but I'm more interested in taking care of the public as far as the cosmetology department. So I'm definitely leaning this direction, but I have a question on this suspension. I understand it has to be done within 7 days, a meeting, if we vote on this, and all this is if. How long would the suspension, would that be left up
Till there's a formal hearing,
till there's a formal hearing?
which will be within 30 days or so.
Yeah.
Within what?
There would be a formal hearing in which would be within the statute says within a reasonable amount of time. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be within 30 days, but it would be set fairly quickly for
Our
a
next
formal
meeting is
hearing.
February.
Yeah, it would be a special hearing. The balance is, because you're taking summary action, it's in the interest of the property right of the respondent that you have a hearing as quick as you can to resolve the issue. So that's why you have to have a formal later. The informal conference is kind of like you're deciding whether or not there's enough probable cause for him to remain suspended until the hearing. Well, there is, and he remains suspended until the hearing, and that's when you have to have it sort of as fast as you can.
We're reading that. Was there a plural on complaints?
Only one complaint, like we're used to thinking of complaints. The plural is that there may be more than one offended person involved in the matter.
We have documentation from 3 individuals who have given statements to law enforcement.
That ain't true.
One statement has led to a formal charge, a criminal charge being filed, in which the licensee was taken into custody and formally booked on charge of sexual assault. There could be more coming. There's one formal criminal charge now, but we have 3 statements.
And he's out on bond, so he's not in custody, which presents the imperative threat. So once again, the 3 options is to allow, if you feel, it depends on how the board feels about how much probable cause there is. If you want to just allow the complaint to go as it always does, if you want us to try to negotiate him voluntarily going inactive or some other way of suspending his privileges himself, or we can do it this way.
Which is the way we recommend.
But we feel that we need to offer the board, you need to be informed that you have these 3 options.
I'd like to state that
So they can get this.
I would like to state that we should put him on suspension. Number 2, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been around one most of my life. I think there probably could be some liability to the board if we don't do it. And that's my recommendation.
For discussion or questions to Mark or to Mr. Herndon?
You said that we would have to have this informal hearing within 7 business days, and we could do it by conference call or...
Wednesday the 11th would be the day.
By the Wednesday the 11th, and what we'll do is if you do vote and enter an order of summary suspension, I'll ask Roxana to kind of get with the board and try to arrange a time and all the logistics as to where you would call in and what number and all that stuff. We will take care of that, and we just kind of need to. We would obviously need a quorum of the commission or the board participate.
5. We need 5 of you.
I had a question. So if we do this informal conference, then the licensee, they respond at that time. They can or cannot respond.
Correct.
If they do not respond, then what is our action, or what are our options?
Well,
if they don't respond.
If the licensee doesn't respond and does not appear, then the state, what we will do is go ahead and explain to the commission, the proof that we do have as far as immediate and irreparable harm. Obviously, he would not be there to respond, and so then the commission would make a determination pending a formal hearing.
This is supposed to be his opportunity to explain why you shouldn't keep his license suspended. If he doesn't show up, I would consider that a response in and of itself. But once again, it would be up to the board members there to decide what to do.
If we voted on to do this and we had a conference call, would he be here in person at this location with the conference call?
Yes, we would, on the order, it would say you need to come to Davy Crockett Towers, room
And if he doesn't
such
show
and
that-
such
Okay.
at this time to appear before the board and present your response to the summary suspension.
Could the summary suspension be post-dated where the 7 days falls within our next board meeting date? We wouldn't do that publicly. Would that something we could do before the meeting or after? I'm just getting information.
Ask me, not sure I understood, so.
The summary suspension, and then we have to have the conference within 7 days. My question was, could the suspension be post-dated, whereby the 7 days would fall within our next scheduled meeting date?
Oh. I don't think you would, I think that defeats the immediate public harm
Okay.
issue, because if you say we're gonna post date it to date X, then if I was an attorney representing the respondent, I would say, well, obviously it wasn't an immediate a threat of
Okay.
public harm because you post dated it
Okay.
this amount of days. So I think it would be harmful to the case to do that.
Okay.
Wouldn't
thank
want
you.
him to reoffend in the interim.
Yeah, and then the chance of be doing something again in the interim time. So, I mean, I think it would be risky.
When did this complaint come in? The first one?
Well, we received notice of,
I don't have any paperwork.
it was last week? Yeah, it was a week ago today?
Go today. I notice he has a history also.
Licensee,
I don't think he has a complaint.
I'm on the wrong one, forgive me. Got-
28, number 28.
Sorry.
Page 125, and then that piece of paper, Madam Chairman, that I handed you, that one also has what Rob just updated. So he doesn't have a history.
Okay, I'm sorry, I looked down,
Right.
it was on a different page. Is there any more discussion or questions to the attorneys?
like I said, this is a matter that I mean, we do not, summary suspensions are a very drastic matter because you're taking away somebody's ability to earn a living. Short of showing immediate irreparable harm or a threat to the public, we are very hesitant to take action without, just on an accusation. However, in this case, and considering it was done within the course of his license, we really don't think there's any other option but to do so.
Does reoffend, it won't be under color of authority of the board.
If you don't, say that again, please.
If he does reoffend after his suspension, it won't be while he has an active license that we gave him.
Burford said earlier.
Okay, if we vote for this summary suspension, and then he goes to court, and he's found not guilty, does he have any legal recourse back at the board?
No, I don't. Under you're acting in the course of your responsibility, authority, and duties. I can't say that he wouldn't make an accusation that the board acted arbitrary and capriciously. However, I think that would be a faulty argument based upon the information that we've received from law enforcement. And so I'm very comfortable in answering no.
Everything you do on the legal report is based on probable cause, and that's what this is. So you are acting within the scope of your authority, and as long as you do that, you have sovereign immunity. You can't be sued. As long as you're within what you're supposed to be doing, and we think you are.
But that lawsuit last year dealing with the threading, so that wasn't directly toward the board?
The way I'm thinking, you would not even suggest a summary suspension unless you didn't think it was necessary or the best thing. That's my thoughts.
One of those things we hope we never have to bring to you because it's so rare and
We've never had it brought before us, not as long as I've been on.
it's rare.
June, have you
and
ever-
It should be rare.
No, but I was just thinking, we was talking about the threat of being a suit of that, but the threat of not doing what we should as board today, that's a greater threat than what the public would have if we don't do this.
I remember the threading thing was just a sort of a debate between the board and somebody else about whether or not they could do something. And that was in Chancery Court. That wasn't in civil court. That was the chancellor saying, well, I've looked at everything and it looks like the board doesn't really regulate it. That's what that was. That wasn't us being sued. That was just the court trying to give a declaratory decision on whether or not you could do it. As far as I know, we've never been sued for damages or anything like that. Yes, the Claims Commission says we can.
Back, Chairman Colley, yes, I mean, I do not like to bring summary suspensions just because of the nature of, I mean, it's a drastic measure. However, there are times I think that we have to take a look at what best interest of the public and make a recommendation to the boards based on that. And considering the information that we have, I wholeheartedly recommend that that's what we need to do. That's what the board needs to do.
Like Ms. Huckabee just said, we've got to take responsibility. More discussion, or is there a motion of any sort?
Madam Chairman, I move that we go along with our legal's recommendation on case number 28.
I second.
Motion's made by Ms. Huckabee, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we go along with the summary suspension, which is recommended by our legal on case 28, which is 20130236621. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam
You have
Chair.
just explained a lot that I did not understand.
Well,
He talks faster than me, too.
yeah, that's,
We need to vote on that.
I have an order that I'll need you to sign because we'll need to get this out today, so I'm going to ask if someone can hand that.
Ask a question. Does the state carry liability insurance on the board members? Not, why not?
I mean, I think liability is a statutory matter as far as, but I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think so, but
It's a constitutional issue about sovereign immunity and being able to sue the state. You're acting as an agent of the state, carrying out the state's business. So under that constitutional theory, you're immune to being sued as long as you do what you're supposed to do. I don't know about any additional.
And as Rob has said, I mean, there is a broad immunity that's granted to public officials, of which you are a public official. If you are acting in the capacity of your office, somebody wants to sue you individually or as a board or whatever, they have to show that you stepped outside of that capacity and acted, not only did you step outside, but you also acted arbitrary and capricious without consideration to your responsibilities as a public official. And that's a very high standard to show. Now, do people get sued individually in their public capacity? Yes. The percentage of those that are successful, I would say, would be very low. But as a public official, as long as you act within that public capacity, you are immune.
I don't know if it makes you feel any better, but part of our job is to keep all that from ever even being an issue. And that's the reason this legal report that we present, we try to keep it very consistent in every case so we don't look arbitrary. The recommendations that you get are always based on similar circumstances, so everybody's treated the same. That's part of what we try to do. If you acted wildly divergent on different cases for the same offense, that would look suspicious to some people.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank
I hope
you.
the rest of them are less onerous. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Word. Thanks, Mark. All right, on to the lighter side of it. If you'll rock it back to the beginning. I don't know what page that is. Begin. 108. First heading is previous cases with new information. And I'll just read the whole thing as usual. Number one is 2013-012881, and this was presented at your August meeting as follows, and then the italics tell you how it was presented. And there's an update here. The representative of the respondent has provided a written statement that the respondent understands and has corrected the discrepancies and made it clear that she is adamant that these violations will not occur again, violations being display of their ID tags. However, due to financial difficulty, the respondent formally requests a reduction of the civil penalty from the current $750 if at all possible. So after looking at it, I thought, well, there's a way you can do that, so I recommended allowing the remedial measures as mitigating action, consider the violations collectively instead of 3, there's just 1, and reduce the approved civil penalty to $250. Number 2, 2013-012311. This matter was presented at your October meeting as follows, and then this goes through the italics, which was some sanitary violations. You approved and observed 6 violations for a total civil penalty of $1,500. So the update is the board office records indicate that the respondent's shop is now out of business, is no longer operating. Recommend rescind the consent order, close the case due to the unavailability or, well, non-existence of the respondent. Flag the license file for further activity in the event of reapplication. Number 3 is 2013-011821. This was presented at the October 7th meeting, and it had some facility violations there. You approved a letter of warning based on the indication of the notice of violation. Now, this matter was actually closed on October 22nd. However, we heard back from them. So the update is the respondent submits a letter asking that this matter be removed from its licensing file with the board on the grounds that the respondent was in dispute with the landlord of the respondent's space regarding the facility shortcomings that required legal action and so on and so forth, repair time. The recommendation is uphold the board's previous ruling due to the fact that the board has no authority to expunge a disciplinary record. I already knew that, but we need the board to acknowledge that. Number 4, 2013-011891. This matter is presented at the October 7th meeting as follows. And based on the presentation, the board approved the matter for a $250 civil penalty for 2 violations for a total of $500. The update is the respondents provided a letter explaining that the respondent's shop management has since trained its employees on the importance of adhering to all the board's law and rules, has now provided mountings for all stations to display licenses to avoid future display violations. And additionally, the respondent requests a reduction in the assessed civil penalty. This time, recommended at its discretion, the board may consider the remedial measures and lack of prior complaint history to rescind the previous consent order, authorize a formal hearing. These are all very similar. Number 1, 2013-015241, notice of violation, alleges the respondent violated some of the board's sanitary rules. There's no inspection report. Whenever I recommend to close it with the letter of warning, it's probably because there's not an inspection report, which I need. Recommend in this case a cease and desist, close the case with the letter of warning. Number 2, 2013-014491. Violation indicates that the respondent violated the board's license and sanitary rule. Recommend authorize a letter of warning and close the case. Number 3, 2013-015231. Notice of violation alleges the respondent violated some of the board's rules and sanitary standards. No inspection report. Recommend authorize a letter of warning and close the case. Number 4, 2013-016071. Violation indicates that the respondent violated some of our rules and sanitary standards. No inspection report. Recommend authorize a letter of warning. Close the case. 5, 2013-016041. Notice of violation indicates that the respondent violated the board's rules and sanitary standards. There's no inspection report or supporting document. As a letter of warning and close the case. Number 6, 2013-016031. Notice of violation alleges the respondent violated rules and sanitary standards. There's no inspection report or supporting documentation.
Bob, could I ask a question, please? You've got, there is no inspection report. How do you get these if you don't have a report?
A letter of violation that doesn't have the inspection report with a checklist of what they did. The part you give to them and say, here, post this.
But you get the violation sheet, but you don't get the inspection sheet. Well,
Kind of what I need is evidence so I can
Right.
prosecute the case. A letter saying they violated something doesn't really help out.
just that they make a copy and mail it with the violation.
I have done so, and they've been told not to, and I don't know why they don't. What I'm hoping to get at is if enough of these cases are presented for letters of warning, that the inspectors might get the message that I need the inspection report if you want something done other than a letter of warning, which is why I'm kind of recommending it this way.
Mm-hmm.
2013-016021. Notice of violation issued on July 10th alleges the respondent, an unlicensed shop, is operating without first obtaining a license. You don't really need an inspection report for that one. Specifically, the respondent owner stated to the inspector that he has recently bought the shop from the previous owners. However, the respondent's not filed the applications yet. In this case, recommend a formal hearing with authority to settle civil penalty of $250 for each of the 2 identified violations. No shop license, no person license. Total civil penalty of $500. Number 8, 2013-014551. A notice of violation issued on July 12th alleges the respondent was an unlicensed shop, is operating without first obtaining all required individual and shop licenses. The only licensed individual in the shop was not a manager and did not know where the shop license, if any, was located. The complaint file contains a letter from the board offices directing the shop to cease and desist all unlicensed activity, which was returned unclaimed. Recommend a formal hearing with authority to settle for a civil penalty of $500. 13-016541, a notice of violation alleges the respondent, which is an unlicensed shop, is operating without the required licenses. At the time of the inspection, the shop license had expired as of April 30th of this year. At least 2 individual licenses had expired at the end of April and June of this year. Authorize a formal hearing with authority for a consent order of $500. Number 10, 2013-01531, a notice of violation alleges the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating without all the required licenses. At the time of the inspection, the shop was employing at least 3 persons without a valid license. So in this case, authorize a formal hearing with authority to assess a civil penalty of $750. Number 11, 2013-016521. A notice of violation indicates that the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating without first getting all the required individual licenses. At the time of the inspection, the shop was employing at least 2 people that didn't have a license. Recommend a formal hearing, civil penalty of $500. Number 12, 2013-016271. Notice of violation indicates that the unlicensed respondent is operating without, all the licenses. At the time of the inspection, the shop license had expired as of December 31st of last year without renewal, and at least 1 individual license was working whose license had expired. Recommend a formal hearing with a civil penalty total of $500. 2013-016961. Notice of violation alleges the respondent, a licensed shop, violated the board's rules and sanitary standards. No inspection report. Authorize a letter of warning. Close the case. 2013-016951. Notice of violation indicates they violated some of our rules. No inspection report. Authorize a letter of warning. Close the case. Number 15, 2013-016991. Notice of violation alleges the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating without all the required individual licenses. At the time of the inspection, at least 1 individual license was working with whose license had recently expired. Authorize a letter of warning and close the case. 16, 20. Violation alleges the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating without first obtaining all the required individual licenses. At the time of the inspection, at least 1 individual license was working whose license had recently expired. The office confirmed that the renewed one had already been mailed to the respondent's shop, so it crossed in the mail. Recommend close the case. 17, 2013-014101. A notice of violation alleges the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating without getting all the required licenses. The complaint file contains a letter from the board directing the shop to cease and desist all unlicensed activity, and that one came back to us unclaimed. Formal hearing with a total civil penalty settlement of $500. 18. A notice of violation alleges the respondent, an unlicensed individual, is operating without a license. At the time of the inspection, the alleged activity was being conducted at the respondent's residence. The complaint file indicates a letter from the board offices directing the shop to cease and desist all unlicensed activity, which was received by the respondent. There's no indication that there's been any 2013-014111. A notice of violation alleges the respondent, unlicensed shop, is operating without the licenses they need to have. At the time of the inspection, there are no licensed individuals in the shop. The shop manager conveyed to the inspector that all applicable licenses will be obtained. The complaint file contains a letter from the board directing the shop to C&D all unlicensed activity, which was received by the respondent. There's no indication there's been any subsequent activity since that letter got there. Authorize a formal hearing to settle civil penalty of $250. Number 20, 2013-014121, a notice of licenses. At the time of the inspection, there were no licensed individuals in the shop. The complaint file has a letter in it from the board directing the shop to cease and desist. It was received by the respondent. No indication of any further activity. Authorize a formal hearing, civil penalty of $250. 21, 2013-014-141. A notice of violation indicates the respondent, an unlicensed shop, is operating without all their licenses. At the time of the inspection, there were no licensed individuals in the shop. Once again, there's a letter from the board telling them to cease and desist, which they got, and there's no indication they've been doing it since then. Authorize a formal hearing, a civil penalty of $250. 2013-014-181. Notice of violation alleges the respondent, unlicensed shops operating without all their licenses. At the time of the inspection, there were no customers present in the respondent shop. Complaint file contains a letter directing them to C&D all activity. And there's no indication they were doing it after that. Authorize a formal hearing, civil penalty of $250. 2013-014-521. This notice of violation alleges the respondent, unlicensed shop, is operating without all their licenses, and at the time of the inspection, there were no licensed individuals in the shop. So they didn't catch them doing it. The complaint file contains a letter again from the board directing them to cease and desist on unlicensed activity. Authorize a formal hearing, civil penalty of $250. Or notice of violation indicates that the unlicensed respondent is operating without all their licenses. Once again, at the time of the inspection, there was nobody in the shop. Complaint file, once again, has the letter from the board. No indication they were doing it after that. Authorize a formal hearing, civil penalty of $250. 2013-014-621. Notice of violation indicates the respondent, a licensed shop, is operating a mobile manicure shop under the respondent shop's properly issued license in violation of our statute. The respondent shop was never opened upon inspection, but an advertisement at the respondent shop supports this allegation. The complaint file contains a letter from the board offices directing them to cease and desist this activity, which was received. As a formal hearing, civil penalty of $250 to settle. 2013-017-251. A notice of violation alleges the respondent, unlicensed. On the inspection, there was nothing going on. Authorize a formal hearing, settle the matter for $250. 2013-017-261. Same story. Notice of violation alleges the respondent, unlicensed shop, is operating without a license or wasn't anybody there at the time of the inspection. Authorize a formal hearing. $7. Number 28 you know about. Next heading, reciprocity cases presented to close in our ongoing saga. One is 2013-017061. The above referenced respondent, who's a manicurist, was investigated for reciprocity. Found it seems like they have it properly. Licensed cosmetologist, looks like everything's in order. It's presented a recommendation to close and flag the file for further activity if a renewal is attempted.
Excuse me, please. On the 128, you said manicurist, but you meant licensed cosmetologist. Is that correct on number 28?
28 is the one that we talked about the summary for.
Oh, no wonder I got confused. Okay.
First was last and the last was first. Okay. Let me do that again on number 2, 2013-01706. Of referenced respondent, a licensed cosmetologist, was investigated for reciprocity issues and got a license. Presented with a recommendation to close and flag the file for further activity if renewal is attempted. Last heading, reciprocity case is presented for disciplinary action. $19971. An administrative board office complaint's been filed against the above referenced respondents alleging fraud and obtaining licenses through reciprocity. recommend refer these 3 cases to litigation for authorization for a formal hearing to seek license. All of them, so.
Are there any questions? To start sending in your inspection sheets.
Was all that from the same inspector? On the ones where,
Have the inspection report.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if all of them are, but the vast majority are.
And I'll just add, we did the training in September, and so as of September, it's very clear to them that we will not be opening a complaint. We will, they can be written up, that this is expected of them. So that happened at the September annual meeting where they all came in.
Okay, so they haven't had time to put it.
Right,
Hopefully that's
right.
it.
right.
Any discussion, or do I hear a motion we accept?
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Motion made by Mr. Herford that we accept. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McAllister. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
I wonder, Madam Chairman, in the future, can we not have 2 categories, one the warnings and ones that you've taken action on?
Are you talking about grouping these cases as far as, yeah, I thought,
Warnings versus the
I
other.
thought about that. This is something I thought about just
That
to-
way we could approve the warnings, because we're not doing anything anyway.
thought about that, and I think I'm gonna start just grouping them together as far as having the same recommendation.
Okay.
Next is the consent orders. On your iPads, we're on page 129, and then I'll give it back to Rob. For the month of November, we took in $1,500 in consent orders.
1,000 what?
500. It's 4 different cases.
Do I hear a motion we accept $1,500 in consent orders?
So move.
Ms. Huckabee moves that we accept consent orders 1,500, seconded by Ms. Smith. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
All right, I think we can beat the clock here. I think the director's passed out a document that looks like this. It's, I think, 5 pages long. I think you've got the notice of rulemaking that we've been talking about, and this, it's called a Regulatory Flexibility Act statement. Most things are in legal. This is a boilerplate type document. Basically what it, and I'll read the heading into the record, but after the heading, under description of proposed rule, it has this Reader's Digest version of what the proposed rule amendments are. I'm not going to read that into the record, but then on page 4, there's a regulatory flexibility analysis, which by statute we're required before we do any rulemaking to consider these questions, and then I've already handily put in some recommended answers to them. Of course, the board's not married to those. I'm just going to read this, the parts I have to. I'm going to read into the record and then let y'all discuss it. All right. Regulatory Flexibility Act requires that prior to initiating the rulemaking process, all agencies shall review all proposed rules and the effect that the proposed rule has on small businesses. The Act requires that each agency shall employ a regulatory flexibility analysis utilizing regulatory methods that accomplish the objectives of applicable statutes while minimizing any adverse impact on small businesses. All right, the Act further provides that the agency shall consider, without limitation, certain methods of reducing the impact of the proposed rule on small businesses. Of those, and those methods are as follows. The extent to which the rule or rules may overlap, duplicate, or conflict with other federal, state, or local governmental rules. clarity, conciseness, and lack of ambiguity in the rule or rules. Establishment of flexible compliance and/or reporting requirements for small businesses. The reporting requirements for all small businesses. Consolidation or simplification of compliance or reporting requirements for small businesses. The establishment of performance standards for small businesses as opposed to design or operational standards required. And the unnecessary creation of entry barriers or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase cost. Once again, description of proposed rules. The Tennessee Board of Cosmetology intends to convey a rulemaking hearing in order to consider amending current board rules governing the licensure of individuals and establishment of its sanitary rules. Rules contained in the notice of rulemaking would replace current relative requirements with the proposed updated standards as follows. And then there's all those bullet points. Page 4. This is a part where the board has to vote. Regulatory flexibility analysis. Methods of reducing impact of rules on small businesses. Each agency shall employ a regulatory flexibility analysis utilizing regulatory methods that accomplish the objectives of applicable statutes while minimizing any adverse impact on small business. The agency shall consider, but not be limited to, each of the following methods of reducing the impact of the proposed rule on small businesses while remaining consistent with health, safety, and well-being. All right, number 1, the extent to which the rule may overlap, duplicate, or conflict with other federal and state and local government. Recommended answer is there will be no overlap, duplication, or conflict with other federal, state, or local governmental rules because the board is the sole authority for establishing minimum requirements for obtaining a license for the professions it regulates, which is a long way of saying we're the only. 2, clarity, conciseness, and lack of ambiguity in the rule. The rules are clear in purpose and intended application and are not subject to varying interpretations. 3, the establishment of flexible compliance and reporting requirements for small businesses. Regardless of size, all establishments providing services under regulation of the board in this state are subject. 4, the establishment of friendly schedules or deadlines for compliance and reporting requirements for small businesses. Variation of reporting requirements for establishments in Tennessee of any size. 5, the consolidation or simplification of compliance or reporting requirements for small businesses. These amendments address the operation of licensed establishments of all sizes, and they strive to simplify all requirements as they apply to establishments of any size. Number 6, the establishment of performance standards for small businesses as opposed to design or operational standards required in the opposed rule. The board determines minimum requirements for licensure and does not dictate business practices of establishments. Number 7, the unnecessary creation of entry barriers or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial activity, curb innovation, or increase costs. The amended rules proposed do not contemplate an impediment to innovation or increasing costs for providing services beyond that which will be required to implement any new variations on business practices authorized by these rules. There's another way of saying this is that the legislature told us to do this, and that's what we're doing. Okay, now the board can think about that for a minute. I think the directors passed out the latest and pretty much unchanged version of the notice of rulemaking hearing. So today we're going to vote on the board authorizing us to move forward with this project. Now, again, I think I explained it last time, but what happens next is it begins its long journey through the department to get all the approvals that are required to send it to the Attorney General's office so they will approve it. Then it goes to the governor's office so they can approve it, and then we can set a date for a hearing. After the hearing, it goes back to the Attorney General's office for approval of legality, comes back to us. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 ping pong matches. After they finally approve it, then it goes to the Secretary of State's office where it sits for 90-something days. So we're still way at the beginning of this. And if when the hearing rolls around, it'll probably, in all likelihood, be a year or so from now, at which time the session up there on the Hill will have come and gone. So right now you're approving, as the law right now is, this is what we're doing to comply with it. If something happens during session, then we're going to have to start over again. Just as long as y'all are aware of that.
Repeat that again.
As the law is right now, this is how we're going to comply with it. But if something happens during session that changes that, in one way or another, we got to start over again.
Any one thing?
Could be any one thing or a lot of things. We don't know. But because we're just getting started, they go into session next month, believe it or not. And if they do something that changes our statutory authority to do these rules, then we're going to have to toss it and do something else. But because of the we've been commanded to do this by legislative imperative, that's what we're going to do. So what I'm asking you today is to approve the notice so it can be sent on its odyssey, and to approve the regulatory flexibility analysis and the questions. So first of all, I'd like the board to consider approving the notice as you have it.
Agree with it or not, right? That's
Not
my
an
motion.
uncommon thing.
What's your motion, Mr. Herbert?
I approve it, but I don't agree with it. I mean, I make a recommendation.
Okay. Motion's been made by Mr. Herford to approve.
I second.
Seconded by Ms. Ali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried. Done.
Take a roll call vote, just so it'll be on the record. Just some-
Go ahead and do roll call. Let me start with Madam Chairman, Ms. Colley.
Approved.
Approved. Vice Chair, Ms. Coppinger is not here. Next would be Ms. June Huckabee.
Approved.
Ms. Muriel Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Rufus Herford.
Yes.
And Ms. Pearl Walker-Ollie.
Ms. McAllister.
About Ms.
Oh, Ms.
McAllister.
McAllister, I skipped you. I'm so sorry. You're last. Ms. Judy McAllister. Move.
All right. What does the board think of the answers to these analysis questions? If you approve them, I guess we'll do the same thing, and if you want to change them, that's fine too. I was trying to be helpful and put some requested answers or some sort of sample answers that we usually use.
On number 2, not subject to varying interpretations. We're gonna have to really make things clear for that one.
Right. And once again, if we come to a hearing based on this notice, and we hear statements from the public that would make you want to change how the rules are written, that's the time it happens. Just keep in mind that the way they're written now might not be the way they look eventually. What we're doing now is just trying to get to the point to where we can have a hearing on it. Number 5, I'd like to change the word simply to simplify.
Change the word what?
Number 5, these amendments address the operation of licensed establishments of all sizes, and they strive to simply all requirements. I think that's simplified.
Simplify. I didn't make sense a while ago. You couldn't even read it.
I don't sometimes notice these things till you do try to read them in public where everybody's listening.
Could you go over number 7 and explain that, please?
Necessary creation of entry barriers or other effects that stifle entrepreneurial in here to make sure that some regulatory agencies tend to make rules that protect the profession. Necessarily exclude people, whether they realize it or not, hampering people from entering the profession. That's what we're trying to avoid. We want to make sure that we're even about how people are able to comply with our requirements of getting a license. We don't want to say, well, you got to be a certain age, something that's unnecessary. You got to have a degree from a certain school, not any school that meets the requirements. You don't want to put the kibosh on people that are trying to start a school in an environment where it's not so easy to start a school. Like we've talked about that before, trying to make it a little more flexible to get a school started or a shop started, instead of, making it so tough that if you happen to live in a certain part of the state, buildings like that don't exist. Does any of that make sense? We're trying to make sure that people can get into the profession if they want to get into the profession, as long as they meet our minimum requirements.
On that one also.
Talking about our amended rule about trying to figure out what qualifies as, what do we call it, instructional space. Trying to be more clear about what we expect that to be. Trying to make that clearer and more concise and give a little bit more clarity to people so they'll know what we expect. We're not trying to make it ambiguous to where they can't figure it out, which would exclude them in a way too. I admit some of these questions apply to other professions a lot easier than it does to us. But the statute says you got to ask the question. I guess an example is if we made a rule that says you can only have a shop in a medical facility, that would be an impediment.
Said something
be
about
unnecessary.
age a minute ago that confused me.
I was just trying to come up with an example, an arbitrary example of something we would try to make a rule that would exclude otherwise qualified people. We don't want to set up unnecessary barriers. Required a university degree instead of just graduation from a cosmetology school. That might be an unnecessary impediment. No reason for you to go through cosmetology school and also have a bachelor degree in something. There's no reason for that. That would be an unnecessary impediment, because not everybody has a bachelor's degree or wants one. Board's pleasure on modifying these answers or taking them as they are, except for the simply.
Question? Seminar approval?
Bob's going to need a motion. If
I thought we
everyone's-
already made one.
Just for the first one.
That was for the notice.
For the notice.
Now this is for the regulatory flexibility analysis. If you approve it, then we'll do our roll call again and we'll be done.
It's almost the questions and then your answer, just clarify. It's take each of these answers and analyze those.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve.
Motion's made by Ms. Huckabee and seconded by Ms. Smith that we approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
I do a quick roll call, and then we've got two small, fast
Okay.
items to do.
Starting with Ms. Huckabee. Oh, no, you call them all.
Let me call them the way yes, was Linda Colley chairman?
Yes.
Ms. June Huckabee?
Yes.
Ms. Muriel Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rufus Herford? Ms. Walker, Pearl Walker Ali? Ms. Judy McAllister?
Yes.
That's it for me.
We are, two quick things, page 131. This is the presentation for the 2014 Continuing Education Seminar. Milady's Career Institute presents their 2014 information. The date for next year is Sunday, August 10th and Monday, August the 11th, to be held in Tennessee State University in Nashville. Provided is the brochure that they will be using and the material. I will need a motion to approve their material. The other two seminars will present in the next two meetings. One's going to be able to present in February and the other one in March. And for next year, given that expertise has 5 sessions, we'll need the different seminars to present earlier in the year. So that's a new concept that they'll just have to kind of think of things a little bit earlier because we've got a February marketing material that needs to go out for expertise and so forth. But already on the website are tentative dates for these sessions. And as you approve them, or if you don't, then we can always change those dates.
I have a question. Have you been communicating with,
Yes, she's going to present in March.
okay, so she's not, okay, well, she's not retiring.
No, not that I know of.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
I have a request. I've seen this program before. I was very impressed with it, but I'd like to just say that have Christina make sure that we know who the speaker is going to be, the lecturer.
I'll make sure yeah, because I'll talk to her today probably. I'll let her know that you want to know who the speaker's going to be ahead of time.
Yes. And she'll understand my question. Any discussion? Do I hear a motion we accept?
I move that we accept.
Motion made by Ms. Pearl Ali that we accept. Do I hear a second? Second by Ms. Huckabee. Ms. Huckabee, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes carried.
And just one last thing, at the last meeting, we mentioned the 2014 dates for our meetings, which is always the first Monday in each month. In December, I had set it to the second one because of the Thanksgiving holiday, knowing how this meeting was going to push some dates back. But I'm going to go ahead and make a correction to move it back to the first Monday. Is that everyone's wish? That it be the first Monday in December as well? It falls just like this one, back to back with Thanksgiving. We don't have a January meeting, and then people have to wait till February. But if that's the desire, then I'll move it to that date.
We're in a routine.
You've
And
got it.
everybody expects it, the guest
First
and
Monday.
everything knows it's the first Monday.
I'll make that change, and I've got nothing else, Madam Chairman.
We will meet February, first Monday in February.
That is correct.
And what little group is left, Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.
Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you. Happy holiday.
Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Huckabee, second by Ms. Smith, that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Happy holiday.
Happiest, fastest motion in the West.
Doesn't take much to get that one.
Jeannie, we've got our paperwork here.
Take them from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.